Hello everyone, before starting the video, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching my channel and for the fact that you are already more than 2,500 people. Well, this video is dedicated to our favorite theories, but this time the main character of the video will be our long-lived Kinger, or simply chess piece. I advise you to watch this video to the end, because the information in the video may surprise you. In this video we will find out who is depicted on the door, what really happened to Kinger and who is to blame, and who is Kinger. It all seems obvious, but there are some details you may have missed. And we'll also talk about what we can expect from Kinger in the next episode of Amazing Digital Circus. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And here we go. Who is Kinger? From the very beginning of the pilot episode of Amazing Digital Circus, we are given to understand that Kinger is one of the strangest characters in the place, and also Jax claims that Kinger is the one who has lived in the Amazing Digital Circus the longest. We also learn that our chess piece is 48 years old. Considering that at the moment there is no one older than Kinger, unless Kane, but he is an artificial intelligence, so he is immortal, we can safely say that Jax is telling the truth. And right after that, we see Kinger acting very strange and confused, like he's afraid to leave his makeshift mini-home. But as soon as Gloinks destroyed his house, Kinger has nothing left but to meet Pomni, and already here he shows himself in all his glory, because his behavior resembles the behavior of elderly people who started having problems with their mental health. This behavior of Kinger will be shown to us many times during the pilot episode. It can also be said that Kinger does not fully understand what is going on around him, and it seems that it is very important for him to be useful to everyone else, because remember the scene where Kinger and Gangle decide who will save Zubal's head in the Gloinks cave. As soon as Kinger won, his mood immediately improved. To summarize as briefly as possible, Kinger is a complex, frightened, and very strange old man who has lived in the circus for over 20 years. Since the whole Amazing Digital Circus is shrouded in various mysteries and secrets, it was quite easy to recognize the time of Kinger's residence in this place. I thought that it would definitely be related to chess, and since Kinger has lived here the longest, we should find out how long the longest chess game lasted, and it lasted more than 20 hours. 20 weeks or months is too short a lifespan, but 20 years is fine. What do you think? How many years does Kinger live in the digital circus? Write about it in the comments. I'd be very interested to read your opinion. But what could have happened to Kinger in those 20 years? What made him the way he is? And what does the crossed out image with the other chess piece have to do with it? In case you forgot, during the conversation between Pomni and Regatha, a strange image was seen on one of the doors with the exact same chess piece as Kinger. I had several versions of who it could have been. It could have been his friend, his father, his older or younger brother or sister. But after a while I realized that none of them were the missing character. But we didn't mention a wife or girlfriend because Kinger could have had one. Let's say it's his wife who went missing years ago. Here's where things get interesting. A long time ago, we found out that the appearance of characters depends on what they play in the headset. And apparently Kinger was not only fond of chess in the real world, but also in the virtual world, which played a cruel joke on him and his wife. Initially, after entering the Amazing Digital Circus, Kinger was quite a balanced, calm, and reasonable character, just like his wife. We have not yet given her a name. Let it be Queener or Queenie. Let's go with the first option. But Kane couldn't just leave it at that, because his main job in this damn circus is to cause pain to every single inhabitant. But that's not all, because there's a chance that Kane has fallen in love with Kinger's wife, and that means their life in the circus will never be peaceful. At first, the couple defended themselves against Kane's provocations, but at some point, Kane had something on his mind and started to abuse her very badly. Perhaps it got to the point where he kidnapped Queener, which could only have affected Kinger's condition. It's hard to say exactly how long this went on, but I think Kane had been abusing her for 10 years, or a little less. During all these years, both Kinger and Queener definitely went crazy, but since men, in our case Kinger, have a more stable psycho-emotional background, he still had enough strength to resist all this and stay alive, which unfortunately cannot be said about his unfortunate wife, who could not withstand all the molestation and abuse from Kane, leading to the fact that she finally lost her mind and abstracted. When Kinger found out about this, his life finally collapsed, because up until that point he had had some peace of mind. Even 10 years ago, Kinger seemed very strange to everyone, and what to talk about the present time. After all, time passed, but the terrible experience with him remained and haunted him all these years. But then why did neither Kinger nor anyone else ever mention Queener? I have two theories. Either Kinger was so broken that this part of his life simply disappeared from his memory so as not to traumatize the already mentally ill character any further, or Kane took pity on the unfortunate man and erased any mention of his wife from his memory. But Kane is far from being a positive character, which means that he did not come without some trick. After all, he only erased the part of his memory responsible for the memories of his wife, leaving the rest. So Kinger remains the same very strange character, but now he doesn't even have an explanation for why he is like that. On the other hand, maybe Kinger hasn't forgotten anything and no one has interfered with his memory, and he just doesn't want to tell anyone about it so as not to worry himself, but I don't believe in that, so let's stick to the first two options. What happened to Kinger and what is happening to him now, we have found out. But there is still an untold chapter, namely, what will happen to Kinger in the next episode. It's not my style to discuss any version, so I have a few options for you on what will happen to Kinger in the next episode of Amazing Digital Circus. First of all, I would like to tell you that Kinger's wife was very important in his life, which means that her appearance can change absolutely everything in the life of not only our chess piece, but also in the lives of all the inhabitants of the circus. Everyone remembers that at one point Kane programmed Kinger to forget absolutely all information about his wife, but in any code, there can be a mistake that causes things to go wrong. This could happen to Kinger in the next episode of the Digital Circus. Let's imagine that Kinger remembers absolutely everything about his wife. All the abuse and harassment by Kane, all the horrors she experienced during the 10 years she lived in that damn circus, and everything else. I think with this background, Kinger will change his view on the whole circus, so now his main task will be to get out of it or to destroy Kane, because since Kane is an artificial intelligence, his work can be switched off at any time. The hardest part is how to do it. But what if these memories finally destroy Kinger's life? Such a variation of Kinger's story is quite likely. After all, his psycho-emotional state is already on the borderline between a strange and a very crazy character. If such memories return to our chess piece, it is indeed more likely that Kinger will continue to go crazy, but on a more serious scale. First, he will start disappearing somewhere, then he will not appear among the other characters at all. All this will be very funny for Kane to watch, but we and the rest of the circus inhabitants will not be very happy about such behavior on Kinger's part. Soon he will start to clash and quarrel with everyone, to draw incomprehensible inscriptions on the walls. As Kaufmo did, in general, Kinger's life will be considered finished, because if you can't adapt to the conditions of life in the digital circus, which is best done by Jax and Regatha, then unfortunately all the fear and horror inside the character will only grow, and eventually there will be only one way: to turn into a monster and go to the basement to the same lost as Kinger. And it will be really sad, because despite his oddities, Kinger was still a positive character, who did not chase after something and was always happy to help if suddenly there was some trouble with another resident of the circus. But what if nothing like that happens, and my entire Kinger storyline scenario in episode 2 is completely fake? That could happen, so I have a few more theories, hearing which will make you look at Kinger from a completely different perspective. Now imagine that Kinger, despite his weirdness, is the only one who believes Pomni, because he's been living in the digital circus for quite some time now and probably knows what's really going on in this mysterious place. Then it will be really interesting to see how they together will try to outplay Kane and get out in order to then help the others. But that's just fantasy and theory, and we'll find out soon enough. I hope so. Well, this is the end of our video. If you have your own theories about a character like Kinger, I'm waiting for you in the comments. I will be glad to read and discuss, and the most interesting comments will be in the next video. I wish you good luck and success, and it's time to say goodbye to you in the new video, which will appear very soon.